You don't join a fraternity, that's the first lie they sell you. The brochure says brotherhood. The alumni network says opportunity. The seniors at the party say legacy. But the truth is simpler and uglier than any of those words. You don't join. You get absorbed. Slowly, willingly, and then all at once, until the person you walked in as no longer exists and the person who replaced him doesn't even remember the original. This is the life of every rank in the fraternity. Not the movie version with slow-motion keg stands and golden sunlight through oak trees. The real version. The one where your best years are currency, your silence is a contract, and the guy standing next to you at graduation has a body count of secrets that would collapse 3 families if anyone ever asked the right questions. Welcome to the house. Let's walk you through every floor. You arrive on campus in August with 2 suitcases and a phone full of texts from your mother. You're from Naperville, Illinois, or maybe Plano, Texas, or maybe some stretch of New Jersey where the lawns are green and the dads are quiet and the family therapist drives a Lexus. You are 18. You weigh 162 pounds. You have never been punched in the face, and you have never been told you are nothing by someone whose approval you desperately need. That changes in September. Rush Week looks like a party. It smells like one too. Cheap vodka. A cologne applied with the confidence of a man who's never been rejected, and whatever that specific smell is when 40 guys sweat in the same living room for 4 hours. You laugh at the right jokes. You shake hands like your father taught you, firm but not aggressive. You mention your high school lacrosse stats exactly once, casually, like it doesn't matter, which is how they know it matters to you deeply. You get a bid. You feel chosen. You are not chosen. You are selected. Thus, there is a difference. A choice implies they see something special in you. Selection implies you met the criteria. And the criteria is simple. Can we use you? Will you comply? Do you have the right last name, the right zip code, the right tolerance for humiliation dressed up as tradition? The answer to all 3 is yes. So now you're a pledge. Your pledge educator is a junior named Garrett. Garrett has the emotional range of a filing cabinet. He tells you the rules on your first night. You are the lowest form of life in this house, below the dog, below the couch. The couch has earned its place. You have not. He says this while eating a slice of cold pepperoni pizza at 1 a.m. like it's scripture. And the sick part is, you write it down. Not physically, but somewhere in your nervous system, a new file opens, and it starts recording. You learn the house history. Founding date, 1847. Founding. Chapter. Somewhere in Virginia where the magnolias hid the ugliness. You memorize the Greek alphabet backward. You memorize the names of every active member, their majors, their hometowns, their birthdays. You carry a notebook. You answer your phone on the first ring, every ring, at any hour. You are told this builds discipline. It does not build discipline. It builds dependency. But you don't know that yet, because the difference between the two feels identical when you're 19. Hazing starts soft, cleaning the house at 4 a.m. Running errands for brothers who are only 2 years older than you, but carry themselves like they own the deed to your future. Then it escalates. You stand in a cold basement for 3 hours, answering questions you were never given time to study for. When you get one wrong, the punishment is physical, not criminal, not hospital level, just enough to remind you that comfort is a privilege this house can revoke at will. You think about quitting 11 times. You quit 0. You cross. Yeah, that's the word they use. Crossing. Like a baptism, like a border. Like something theological happened to you in a basement while someone poured ice water on your back and recited a creed written by men who owned other men. But you don't think about that part. You think about the handshake, the pin, the letters you now get to wear in public on your chest, like a branding that you paid $3,200 a semester for. You are a brother now. The immediate change is social, doors open. Yet not metaphorical doors, literal ones. The door to the party you used to stand outside of. The door to the section of the library where the test banks live, going back 15 years, organized by professor and course number. The door to the alumni dinner where a man who manages $400 million in assets asks you about your summer plans and slides you a business card like he's dealing you into a poker game you didn't know you were playing, you start to understand. Yes, the fraternity is not a social club. It is a distribution network for access, and access is the only product that never depreciates in America. Your job as a brother is simple. Show up, recruit, donate your time to the house. Attend chapter meetings every Sunday night where Robert's Rules of Order are applied to conversations about noise complaints and who left a stain on the couch that no one will take credit for. You vote on things, budget allocations, social event partnerships with sororities, whether or not to suspend a brother who got arrested for public intoxication, which is treated with the same seriousness as a corporate board reviewing a quarterly earnings miss. You are also expected to perpetuate the system. When the new pledges arrive, you are the smiling face at the barbecue. You are the brother who says, "It wasn't that bad," about an experience that gave you nightmares for 3 weeks. You lie with your whole body. And the ease with which you do it should terrify you, but it doesn't, because lying in service of the institution feels different from lying for yourself. It feels noble. It feels like loyalty. It is not loyalty. It is complicity with a tax-exempt filing status. You get elected social chair because you know people and people know you. This is the first position of actual power in the House. And it comes with a budget of $14,000 per semester and the unspoken responsibility of managing risk without ever using the word risk. Your job is to plan events that are fun enough to maintain the House's reputation, but controlled enough that no one ends up in a courtroom. This is like being asked to build a bonfire that doesn't produce smoke. You do it anyway. You book venues. You negotiate with DJs who charge $800 for 4 hours of playing songs everyone already has on their phones. Yet you coordinate with sorority social chairs over texts that are 40% logistics and 60% plausible deniability. The real work happens after the party. When a freshman drinks too much and passes out in the upstairs hallway, you are the one who makes the call, not 911. The house call. The one where you assess the situation, determine the severity, and decide whether this is a get him water and put him on his side problem or a this could end up on the news problem. You are 20 years old, yet making triage decisions with no training and everything to lose. One night in October, a girl comes to you crying. Something happened upstairs. You listen. Your stomach drops to a place you didn't know existed inside your body. She asks you what to do. You know what you should say. You know what the university Title IX training told you to say. And you also know that if you say it, the house goes under investigation, the charter is at risk, and 47 guys, including you, face consequences for something one person did. You tell her you'll handle it internally. You don't sleep for 9 days. This is the rank where you learn that power isn't the ability to do things. It's the ability to make things not happen. And the fraternity has been perfecting that technology for 177 years. Money is where the myth dies. You take over the books and discover that the fraternity operates like a mid-sized LLC with the accountability of a lemonade stand. Dues come in at $3,200 per member per semester. 68 active brothers. That's $217,600 a year flowing through a checking account managed by a 21-year-old with a 2.9 GPA in finance. You learn where the money goes. Nationals takes 38%. Insurance takes another 22%. The House Maintenance Fund, which hasn't actually maintained anything since 2019, takes 15%. What's left is split between social events, philanthropy, which is really just a party with a cause attached so the university doesn't revoke your charter, and a discretionary fund that the president uses for things that don't appear in any line item. The discretionary fund is where the stories live. You discover payments to a cleaning company that doesn't exist. You find a recurring charge to a catering service that shares an address with the chapter advisor's wife's business. You see a $6,400 withdrawal labeled Retreat Logistics from a weekend where the retreat was a cabin in the Ozarks and the logistics were a cooler of beer and a bag of something you will never mention out loud. You bring this to the president. He looks at you the way a mechanic looks at someone who just asked why there's oil under the car. That's how it works. he says. That's how it's always worked. You adjust the spreadsheet, you submit the report, you sign your name. You are 21, and you have just committed your first act of financial fraud, but no one calls it that. They call it chapter management. The presidency is not a promotion. It is a hostage situation that you volunteered for. You are now the face, the voice, and the legal target of an organization that has the institutional memory of a goldfish and the liability exposure of a small airline. You sit in meetings with the university's Greek life office, where a woman named Linda, who has seen 30 years of fraternity presidents cycle through her office, asks you, with the patience of someone disarming a bomb, whether your chapter has any concerns she should know about. You smile and say no. You have 47 concerns. 3 of them are felonies. Your phone rings at all hours. A brother got arrested in Tuscaloosa during a road trip. Hence, a parent is threatening to sue after their son broke his collarbone during a team-building exercise. Nationals wants you to submit a report on community service hours that you will fabricate entirely from memory because no one logged a single hour all semester. An alumnus from the class of '94 is withholding a $50,000 donation because he heard you let a non-legacy pledge class through. You manage all of this while also attending classes, which at this point feels like a secondary obligation. Your GPA has dropped from a 3.4 to a 2.7. Your girlfriend, who is not in Greek life, looks at you sometimes like she's watching someone drown in a pool and refusing to get out. She's right. But you can't tell her that. The presidency teaches you one lesson that no classroom ever will. The system is not broken. The system is working exactly as it was designed to work. It was built to protect itself at the expense of everyone inside it. And it will continue to function long after you leave, because the next guy will make the same compromises you did for the same reasons you did. You are not leading, you are maintaining. It happens in March. A pledge named David Chen, 18 years old, pre-med, first in his family to attend a 4-year university, collapses during a late-night session in the basement. Not from a hit, from exhaustion. Now, from standing for 6 hours in a cold room after 3 days of sleeping less than 4 hours a night, while also trying to pass organic chemistry. You're called downstairs. You see him on the floor. His eyes are open, but they're not looking at anything. His breathing is shallow. One of the brothers says, "He's fine. He's faking it." You look at David Chen on the concrete floor, and you see yourself 4 years ago. Same weight, same fear, same desperate belief that endurance equals worth. Well, you call 911, the room goes silent. Not the silence of agreement, the silence of a system recognizing a malfunction. You just broke the first rule Garrett ever taught you. You involved the outside. David is fine. Dehydration, exhaustion, released from the hospital in 14 hours with an IV drip and a brochure about student counseling services. But the damage is done. Not to David, to you. Because now you've proven that your loyalty has a limit, and in this house, or a limit is the same thing as a betrayal. The fallout is bureaucratic, which makes it worse. Nationals sends a review team, which is 2 guys in khakis who have the energy of insurance adjusters investigating a fender bender. The university opens an inquiry. Your chapter advisor, the one whose wife runs the catering company, tells you privately that if you'd handled it differently, none of this would be happening. Brothers stop talking to you. Not all at once. It's gradual. Shah, like a tide going out. The group chat goes quiet when you post. Seats shift at chapter meetings, so there's always an empty chair on either side of you. Your little, a sophomore named Marcus, who you mentored for a year, sends you a text that just says, "I get it, but I wish you hadn't." That text costs you more than any of it. The hearing is in April. You sit in a conference room in the Student Affairs building with fluorescent lighting that makes everyone look slightly guilty. The dean asks you questions. You answer them honestly, which feels physically unnatural, like writing with your non-dominant hand. Then something happens that you don't expect. Garrett shows up. Garrett, your pledge educator. Garrett, who called you less than the furniture. Garrett, who graduated 2 years ago and now works at a consulting firm in Charlotte. He drives 4 hours to sit in that fluorescent room and say, "I taught these kids that silence was strength. That was wrong. And if this kid," he points at you, "is the first one brave enough to say it out loud, Then the least I can do is sit next to him while he does. The room shifts, not dramatically, but enough. The chapter gets suspended, not dissolved, suspended. 2 years, which means the letters still exist, the alumni network still functions, and in 24 months, when a new group of 18-year-olds from Naperville and Plano and New Jersey will walk into a different version of the same house, and the cycle will begin again. You walk out of that building in April with nothing, no pin, no letters on your chest, no handshake that opens doors. Your phone has 32 fewer contacts than it did 6 months ago. Yes, the air outside smells like cut grass and dining hall coffee and something else you can't name, but will later recognize as the specific scent of a life getting lighter. You drive home with the windows down. Interstate 40 heading west, because west feels like the direction of people who are done with something. Your hands shake on the steering wheel for the first 11 miles, and then they stop. You pass a billboard for a personal injury lawyer. You pass a billboard for a church. Yet you pass a billboard for a fraternity's national philanthropy campaign featuring 4 guys with perfect teeth standing in front of a Habitat for Humanity house, and you laugh, not because it's funny, because the gap between the billboard and the basement is so vast that the only appropriate response is the sound your body makes when it can't cry anymore. You pull into a rest stop outside of Knoxville. You sit on the hood of your car. You eat a gas station sandwich that costs $4.79 and tastes like processed redemption. The sun is going down. The sky is doing that thing where it turns 4 colors at once and doesn't care whether you're watching. You reach into your pocket and pull out your pledge pin, the small one, the one they gave you the first night before any of it happened. It's about the size of a dime, gold-plated, worth maybe $2 in materials. You hold it in your palm, and you think about David Chen on the floor. You think about Garrett driving 4 hours from Charlotte. You think about the girl in October whose name you never wrote down because writing it down would make it real. You think about your mother's text that you stopped answering because every time she asked, "How's the house?" you would have had to choose between lying and explaining something she should never have to understand. And here's the thing that breaks you. Not in the dramatic, cinematic way, in the quiet, mathematical way. You didn't join a fraternity. You joined a corporation that sells belonging to people who are terrified of being alone. And the price of admission isn't money, even though they charge you $3,200 a semester. The price is the slow, imperceptible replacement of your own judgment with the house's judgment until you can't tell the difference anymore, until we and I become the same word. And until calling 911 for a kid on a concrete floor feels like an act of rebellion instead of the bare minimum of being a human being. The pin sits in your palm. You close your fist around it. You don't throw it away. You don't keep it on display. You put it in the glove compartment between the insurance papers and the owner's manual, where things go when they still mean something but you're not sure what. That was the story of every rank in the fraternity. It was fiction. Mostly. The names were invented, the details were assembled. But if you've ever stood in a room where the rules didn't make sense and stayed anyway because leaving felt worse than complying, then some part of this was about you. Fraternities aren't inherently evil, they're systems, and systems do what systems do. They perpetuate themselves, often at the cost of the people inside them. The question was never whether the brotherhood was real. It was always whether you were willing to see what it cost. If this one hit different, tell me which moment stayed with you. Was it the phone call, Garrett showing up, the gas station sandwich at sunset? Drop it in the comments. I read every one of them. Subscribe if you want more of these. Not because I need the numbers, but because the next one goes deeper, and hit the notification bell because the algorithm buries things that make people uncomfortable, and this channel lives in that territory. I'll see you in the next rank.